Hello everyone, welcome to the channel of MeteoMark Weather. It's great to have you here with me today. We're starting off with the tropics. We're going to be looking at our next potential tropical system. Could this become Tropical Storm Sara and eventually a hurricane? And does it get into the Gulf of Mexico? We could be talking about a potential storm later this weekend into the following week. We'll be taking a look at all the details on this potential system, as well as all your weather for North America, the Atlantic, and the Pacific. Let's get into it. And here's Invest 99L on the satellite view, infrared satellite. You can see the explosion of showers and thunderstorms just south and east of Jamaica here. This is going to be rapidly intensifying over the next several days. So we're starting off here with the GFS model. And yes, this was the one you saw right at the very beginning here. This is going to be developing pretty rapidly, it looks like, because, we're up to a 70 to 90% chance through days 2 through 7 here. I think this will take off pretty quickly. We're looking at that disturbance moving just south and east of Jamaica here throughout the day, getting on into your Wednesday here. So the midpoint of the week, look at that. It spins up very fast south of Jamaica here over Wednesday and Thursday. And you can see it's just south of the Cayman Islands, just east of Nicaragua and Honduras by this time. And then look how fast the GFS just blasts this thing up into a hurricane. Unfortunately, the trough is still stuck way up here across Florida, so it's kind of slowing down. It's not going to be able to kick the system out right away. And the steering currents become very weak at this point. So what ends up happening is this system meanders. Look at this. This GFS is showing this a whole extreme hurricane here by November 15th here. So this is just 3 days out. Kind of crazy, this run of the GFS. Look at this, and it just wobbles it back and forth because, as you can see, by this point, we have a big area of blocking high pressure building in across the southeast. And look at the trough. It's kind of evaded this hurricane and slides off to the east. Now, I'll show you on the European model in just a few moments here. We're going to play out the GFS, and look at this. Yeah, this is looking like a pretty dangerous hurricane, just wobbling around. So if you're anywhere in the Central and Western Caribbean, Central America, Cuba, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Haiti, Dominican Republic, watch out, because there is a lot of uncertainty with the potential track of the system due to all of the weak steering currents. Now, this high pressure does start to retreat towards the east, and that is bad news for the Gulf of Mexico. And I'll show you why here. Because this exact run of the GFS has taken us just east of Cancun. So unfortunately, if you have a Cancun vacation, you're going to have to watch out for this. Look at the western tip of Cuba here. It just seems like we're getting hurricane after hurricane as we continue through the last month or two. Look how fast this starts to eject northward here. By the 19th, which is a week from now, so a lot can change. That is the good thing. A lot can change, for better or for worse. We have this trough up here across the mid-Mississippi River Valley in eastern Texas. That high pressure is off the U.S. East Coast, so unfortunately that's helping to steer the system into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And as we continue through year 20th, look at this. It just starts to accelerate as the trough brings it up, just to the north and to the east. And unfortunately, don't pay attention too much on the exact landfall point, but unfortunately, this version of the GFS is showing a pretty large hurricane barreling right just west of and into Tampa Bay area and just north of it, and then crossing over. The only good news is with this kind of scenario, it would start to bring extremely good beneficial rain up into this region where you're so dry. So if we continue to accelerate this, it does kind of bring it out to sea, but look at the Outer Banks getting clipped there. And then as we can see out in the tropics, yeah, we still have a tropical wave we'll be watching out here. So if we take a look at our European model here, how does it compare to the GFS? Well, here we are. You can see the positioning of the East Coast high. There's a trough up here across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So let's just zoom in here. As we continue through your Wednesday and your Thursday, yeah, it's going to bring those gusty showers and thunder showers to Jamaica. This is a faster moving storm than was initially thought. But here it is, blowing up into a hurricane just to the north and east of Honduras here. This is the 15th at 10 a.m. And there it is. There's those weak steering currents. You can see that trough pretty much blasting out to sea here, that area of high pressure building in across the Gulf. and that initially blocks it from getting into the Gulf. Now, what does the European model do with this system here? Here we are the 16th into the 17th. It retrogrades it southeastward here. I think during this time, we're going to be getting a tremendous amount of rain across Nicaragua, Honduras, maybe as far northeast as Jamaica and the Cayman Islands as we head through this weekend as well. So we could be looking at all the way through day 5, 6, 7, through the 17th, 18th, and the 19th. And now the European is taking this inland as a landfalling hurricane or tropical storm near Belize and the rest of the Yucatan Peninsula, with tremendous rain further south across Honduras as well. This is something we'll have to keep an eye on. Now, if you look, the high pressure placement is pretty similar to the GFS. Here we go, right off the coast of the Bahamas and Florida here, which would help. Of course, this is a little bit, building a little bit further to the west and southwest here, so this would push it further to the south and west, as the European has indicating here, and then crossing over the Yucatan, look at this, and emerging into the Gulf of Mexico as this high pressure retreats to the east. You can see by this point, it's over here. This is the 19th, by the way. And let's continue to put this into motion because we still have some more frames to work on here, and there it is. Look at this. Both major models are now showing a landfalling tropical system here in Florida. GFS is further north. And of course, the European has a landfall in South Florida here. Now, obviously, it's a weaker storm, but the European always is weaker with these storms. So take that, lightly, because ultimately it's going to come down to the track here. And as we continue to go out here in time, you can see, there it is. It lifts out to the northeast and kind of gets caught up in a low pressure system up here into the northeast. So we'll have to watch out for some potential tropical moisture making it up the east coast. And before we continue with more weather coverage here, I have a lot more to talk about. Don't forget, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. Let's continue. And if we take a look at the intensity forecast of Invest 99L here into the central and southwestern Caribbean, this is the big concern. Look at, within 36 hours, this becomes a tropical storm. Within 72, it becomes a Category 1 or even a Category 2 hurricane. And look at this. As we get into the weekend and the next week, there are some models bringing this up to Category 3 and Category 4 storm. And if we take a look at those sea surface temperatures, look at this. This is what I'm really worried. Look at the Gulf. It's just warming up. Caribbean is just ultra warm. Unprecedented. This is why I'm really concerned we're going to see our next tropical storm very rapidly here and potentially hurricane. So thinking tropical tidbits here for our mid-layer and dry air analysis here. Starting off with the GFS, there is our system. You see all this big dry air up here and you're thinking, okay, what is the big deal? If this thing makes it to the Gulf, it'll be dry. Well, things are going to change here. So watch this. As we head through Thursday, the 14th here, into Friday, look at this thing. Just bombing out. West of Jamaica, east of Honduras here. So any wobbles could, look at that, 938 millibars. Any wobbles could be very detrimental. I'm going to be watching this like a hawk for you in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, all the way up to Cancun, and eventually the Gulf. Here we are, 929 millibars on Sunday morning. Look at this, 925, 927. Still a very formidable hurricane on the GFS model. And as you can see, this thing becomes so strong that it actually scours out the dry air. That is pretty remarkable. It's creating, it looks like it's almost creating its own forecast system here. And if this were to happen, this would be horrible news. There it is. There's that high pressure system. Now, you do start to have dry air wrap around it here. So precipitation will start to cut off here across the Yucatan if this holds true, which is good news. But look at this. Getting caught up in that trough here to the northwest with this high pressure to the east. It shows it as a landfalling hurricane across the west coast of Florida. And then kind of skimming up through the Carolinas, it looks like it's becoming extra tropical by this point as it heads out to sea. And you see that dry air kicking back in here. Still a lot of moisture. And then look what's trying to form here right around the 24th. We have a couple areas we're going to be watching, unfortunately. We're going to be talking about this all the way through the end of the month, I believe. Look at this next tropical wave right around the 27th. This is Wednesday, the 27th. We're still talking about strong tropical waves that will try to develop. And as we take a look at the European model here it is, blasting this into a storm by Thursday and Friday here west of Jamaica. So yeah, you're looking for a rainy time of it here in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, the next couple days. And then there it is, developing it towards, the European is always weaker with these systems. This is pretty average for the European model. Obviously, I think by this point, the European is a hurricane by Sunday here. And then it's kind of skimming along the north coast of Honduras. So this would be really bad because there's a lot of mountainous terrain in Honduras. And this would create a lot of mudslides and problems like that. So this could be looking like record-breaking rain if this holds true. So this would be a very bad scenario for Honduras on the European model. And then towards Belize as a hurricane as well. This is towards next Tuesday, November 19th. Now look at this. Even on the European model, this system is scouring out all that dry air to the north and to the east here. So it's kind of creating its own weather system, so to speak. And look at that. It's getting up into crossing over the Yucatan into the Gulf, just north of Cancun. So yeah, if you got vacation plans in Cancun, I hate to say it, but some of you may actually be canceling again. Look at this, 983 millibars on the European model by November 20th, Wednesday. Look at that. It has a landfalling hurricane on Thursday, November 21st. Both models now are showing a landfalling hurricane. Now, don't pay attention to landfall points, whether you're looking at the GFS or the Euro. The trend has been towards the Gulf, and that is something we need to keep a close watch on. Still, a lot can change a week or so out like this. So take it with a grain of salt. It is disturbing, though, that we're looking at these trends within a week or week and a half period here. Now let's take a look at wind shear here. On the European model, there is no wind shear over this system through the entire forecast period across the Caribbean. Look at this. This is why this thing is allowed to develop into a monster, it looks like. And then we get to next Wednesday. So the good news is there is going to be some wind shear on the western and northern edge of this system. If it stays just to the southeast of that envelope, it will escape some of it, but it is going to get, converted over slightly into something potentially extra tropical. And if we take a look at the GFS, very similar situation here with the wind shear. Look at that as we head through the weekend and next Monday. Look at this. The GFS actually has the worst wind shear way up here across the North American continent. So this thing has free reign here, the eastern Gulf, until right around landfall Wednesday, November 20th here on this run. So then you start to get into some of this heavy wind shear, beyond 35, 40, maybe as high as 50 knots here. So our Caribbean rainfall amounts here on the European model, look at this. So this would be a more southerly solution for both Central America, Jamaica, and Florida as well. Look at this. Even Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, 100 to 150 millimeters. Look at the northern coastline here of Honduras, though. This is what I'm so worried about, because if this track holds true, Honduras could be looking on the order of 350 to 400 millimeters. That's where you're getting into the rainfall amounts, getting into the feet, 1 to 2 feet with locally higher potentially. This would be a terrible situation. Even over to Belize, we're talking about 150 to 200 millimeters on average here. That's getting you up towards 5 to 6, 8 inches of rain. This is not good. So this is something we're going to have to keep a close watch on. And heading on into the Eastern Caribbean, the Bahamas look really dry. Look at that. From the Turks and Caicos all the way up through Nassau. Look at even the Lesser Antilles. The Central Lesser Antilles look mostly dry, but Puerto Rico up here, you could see upwards of, say, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain. Look at down here towards Trinidad and Tobago, though. You're going to get hit with some of these tropical waves, so strong tropical waves, upwards of 90 to maybe 110 millimeters. That's going to get you up towards 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. Now, of course, I wanted to show you the GFS model here. Look at this. So essentially what we're looking at here, very similar into the Eastern Caribbean. You go over here to Jamaica, and that's where we're going to have some of these problems here. Now, the GFS. Look at this. This would keep the worst of the rain mostly out of Honduras here. It's going to be close. Still, there's some areas that could be getting upwards of 250, 300 millimeters. I mean, we're still talking about rainfall amounts 8, 9, 10, 12 inches easily. Jamaica, though, and the Cayman Islands, the GFS gets you more into these dangerous rainfall amounts, closer to 200, 250 millimeters. That will put you up towards anywhere from about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe locally higher amounts, beyond 10 inches here. Oh, wow. Out here into the Western Pacific, we have them just lining up. Tropical Storm Man-yi here. That is forecast to become a typhoon. Look at this. This is a mess. I feel sorry for the northern Philippines, Taiwan here. Eventually, maybe the southern Japanese islands here. We're also watching Tropical Storm Usagi here. So that's going to be something we'll keep a watch on here as well. And Tropical Storm Trilogy, we're still watching, and what's left of Yingjing here. So we got 4 tropical systems that we're watching here. The first one, Usagi, is going to affect the northern Philippines here, unfortunately, again. So this is going to be like your third storm within a week and a half period. I know, that's terrible. Look at this. We could be looking at a major typhoon affecting the northern tip here of the Philippines as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours. That rounds the bend, and the European model showing it pushing very dangerously close to Taiwan. By this point, though, Usagi will be weakening at this point as it rounds the area of high pressure, and then eventually, you can see up here, this trough begins to kick it out of the picture. So it may not actually make it to Japan here. There it is, sliding off to the east. So let's just back this up. Our next typhoon, what is it going to do? It's going to unfortunately follow the same exact path as Usagi. So this is Tropical Storm Man-yi, which will become a typhoon, forecast to become a major typhoon, unfortunately, Category 3, maybe a Category 4. And there it is. The European model bending it right across the northern part of the Philippines. If this happens, this would be like the 4th storm within a 2-week period. Now, I want to just show you this on the GFS because this gets pretty interesting. Here is Usagi. Yeah, the GFS really blasting this up. I would not be surprised if Usagi overshoots estimates here. It's kind of confusing because we're talking about a couple typhoons here, but Man-yi will come behind Usagi here. I feel terrible for the northern Philippines here. This is just, I don't know. I can't even imagine getting hit by this many typhoons within, just a week or 2 period here. But here it is. We're looking at Thursday as the landfall for Usagi. Of course, the GFS bends it westward instead of taking it towards the northeast. Here is Man-yi here. Yeah, the GFS is a little more optimistic with this storm, taking it just to the east of the Philippines and then more towards Taiwan and then weakening it to a remnant low. So we'll have to keep a watch on it here, but either way, it's looking nasty out here into the Western Pacific. And looking at the Western Pacific rainfall amounts here, it is Typhoon Central here, Typhoon Highway. The northern Philippines, I don't even know how you're dealing with this because 300 to 400 plus millimeters of additional rainfall with potentially 2 more typhoons making landfall here. Eastern Taiwan up through the southern Japanese islands as well. We could be talking about anywhere from 150 to 250 millimeters of rainfall. That'll get you up towards, say, the 5 to 8, 10 inches. But northern Philippines, that 350 to 400 millimeters, that's going to be getting you up into the danger zone. We're talking like close to 12, 15, maybe as high as 20 inches of rain in some of these areas. So let's look at our future radar here, our HRRR future radar. Yeah, we're starting off quiet, very cold, high pressure just across the northeast here. Now, as we head through, this is 6 a.m. on your Tuesday or Wednesday morning here. Yeah, we're already to Wednesday. So look at this. We got a lot of smattering of showers and thunderstorms here across the midsection with that frontal boundary promoting some, stronger storms and some heavier rain. Look at this, 6 p.m. all the way from the Gulf Coast, New Orleans, Mobile, Pensacola, all the way up through Mississippi into Kentucky and Indiana, and then up through Illinois here. So we'll be watching this really push on to the north and east. Unfortunately, as time wears on, especially up in this region where it's, really dry as of late, we're actually getting, this rain shield kind of weakening as it heads to the east. So by 6 a.m. on Thursday morning, it's getting into places like Cleveland, Pittsburgh, in a much weaker state here. Unfortunately, these areas, you really don't want to see the rain after what happened with Helene here. So the only good news I can see there in that region is it's pretty fast moving. And then we do start to get some of these heavier returns making it towards North Carolina. Look at this. Eastern Ohio, Pennsylvania. This is 1 p.m. on Thursday. So if some of these can make it into this real dry zone up here, even up in here to eastern New England as well. It's been a little dry up here as well. That would be some very welcome news. All right, so picking up where our HRRR future radar left off, you can see as we head on into Thursday, we do have another chance of some good rainfall here across eastern North Carolina and eastern Virginia, even up into parts of the eastern Great Lakes and Northeast. So we could get clipped from Cleveland down to Pittsburgh there. As we head later on into the day on Thursday afternoon and into the evening there, you can see those showers moving through. Now look at that. That low moves off the coast. It dives southward here, so it doesn't get a chance to get into the northeast corridor where you have, some wildfire situations going on. We have a big, broad area of low pressure up here in the Canadian Maritimes and eastern Maine, but that's not helping you further west here. Now, eventually, look what starts to happen. These lows start to dance around each other a little bit and get caught up in the flow here. So the Canadian Maritimes will continue to get this wind and rain, and I'll cover this in my Canadian forecast here in several minutes later on in this video. But look at this. As we head on into the 17th and to the 18th here, getting on into next week, look what we have going on here across the eastern Great Lakes for next Monday. We got some showers moving through, and look at this. When you see this show up on a model like this is a massive severe weather outbreak here across the southern plains. So we're going to be watching for that prospect, and that low pressure blasts up towards Chicago here as we get towards the 19th, but it's a lot drier by this point. And then, unfortunately, it looks like the European model here lost the precipitation, but this is a pretty strong low here, 996 millibars, moving up through the eastern Great Lakes. I want to make note of this because I am releasing my winter outlook. I assure you it is coming. It's just that the hurricanes have had me busy here. It looks like this is going to be the popular track this winter for a lot of storms, coming right up through the Ohio Valley into the eastern Great Lakes. So I'll go over that in my winter outlook in just hopefully a few days. I'm trying to get it out here in the next 2 to 5 days, so bear with me. It's been kind of crazy with the hurricanes. So as we continue, that blasts up into Canada, and look at this. We get that next potential, whatever happens with our hurricane coming off the east coast here and potentially getting captured by a synoptic low pressure system up here east of New England. So if we're taking a look at our precipitation totals here, mainly the north central Gulf Coast all the way through. Look at this. This is some good news around eastern North Carolina here. Look at that. Yeah, so that is later on in the week, Friday into Saturday, mainly Friday. Looks like mid to late day Friday there. Could be looking upwards of 2 to maybe 4 inches, locally higher to 5 inches in some areas if that holds true. So that would be really good. And there's that potential for landfalling system here. If we get down into, there it is, south and central Florida, we could be looking at 4 to as much as 8+ inches of rain here. And then look at this. I just want to back this up here. Look at, as we get into next week, we could be looking at maybe some wetter time. I know there is a hole here where some of these wildfires are occurring. You can see that. But look at around it, some areas in the purple could be approaching an inch. If we take a look at your Canadian weather forecast here, we're going to start off with high pressure across eastern Canada. And the bad weather is going to be out here across western Ontario with this big Hudson Bay low, and we have a massive 982 millibar Pacific low moving in to British Columbia, and that's going to be blasting that mountain snow valley rain. Look at that. We get another low pressure moving up through Hudson Bay here, towards Hudson Bay, and then we got that Canadian maritime low pressure that's kind of cutting off here near Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland here, and New Brunswick. That retrogrades back westward here, and it's just going to capture a few low pressure systems and move them up here through the Canadian Maritimes, bringing some beneficial rains. Now, as we continue through time here in the 19th into the 20th, you can see, yeah, we do lose a lot of our precipitation here on our model. I'm not sure what's happening here, but look at this. You can get the idea. We're going to go a little bit the way they used to forecast 20 years ago or so, where we just look at the isobars here. Now, we do have some rain showing up here, mountain snow valley rain showing up, but it's not showing up very prominently here. 982 millibar low here across southern Quebec. Our last couple of frames show it retrograding back to the north and east, so you know there's going to be a tremendous amount of wind with this system as well. And our Canadian rainfall here, it's mainly confined to the two coasts here as we head all the way through the third week of November here. Look at here, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and extreme southeastern Quebec here. We could be looking at 70 to as much as 125 millimeters of rain. That's going to get you 2.5, close to 6 inches in some of these locations. A little bit lighter amounts here in the central areas, and then look at the west coast, 150 to 250 millimeters. That'll get you up towards 5, maybe as high as 8 inches. And before we continue with more weather, check out these awesome, amazing maps that you won't find anywhere else.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning digital professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
And let's take a look at your temperature outlook here. Yeah, it's looking pretty temperate here across the Midwest, lakes, the Northeast, upper 40s, up to the lower to mid 50s here. Not too bad. Warm along the Gulf Coast. It's just hurricane season doesn't want to go away. We do get a little bit of some cooler air here. Cold air damming along the Appalachians here and stuck into the 40s, but that's pretty average for this time of year. And then look at, as we head into Friday, we're going to look at a warming trend here. 50s and even some 60s here into the mid-Atlantic. So what's the weekend looking like here? Saturday? Yeah, you can't complain about this. Mid to high 50s, even 60s here into parts of the Ohio Valley, 70s along the Gulf Coast. And as we stretch on into Sunday, November 17th here, you really can't complain. Look at how temperate things are from the 50s into the 60s. And we get into next Monday, yeah, all the cold air's out here in the Rocky Mountains. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Let's take a look from Wednesday, sunny, almost the upper 40s to near 50. It will be lighter wind. That's good news. Into Thursday, we have a chance of showers moving in. It'll be cooler into the mid 40s, but look at this. Yeah, look at those overnight lows, though. Wednesday morning, upper teens, lower 20s into Thursday as well. Friday, we got the warming trend towards 50 into Saturday as well. And look at that, all the way through Sunday, sunny as well. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, it's MeteoMark.com. And don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.